Oh, shit.
According to ESPN's Cleveland Tony Grossi, the full list of demands are 20 mil per year, a 10 million staff budget, total authority over the roster, and would like to select his own GM.
That's not a bad thing, especially for somebody like Harbaugh that knows what he's going to need. If I'm going to Cleveland, I know what I need in this room to be
football. It was essentially people were saying whichever coach loses is going to be on the hot seat and could get fired, and it ended up happening. Ravens losing, and John Harbaugh is out. Apparently, part of the reasoning, playoff failures, but also the thing is he wanted to run it back with his staff, is what I've heard, and the organization really didn't want to go in that direction. So they decided to part ways. And I mean, it's not that I thought that it wouldn't happen. It's just I'm shocked that they actually did it this season, because I thought it'd be, if it happens again next year, then I was like, okay, they might move on next year. I'm shocked it happened this year.
NFL owner.
According to ESPN's Cleveland insider Tony Grossi, the complete list of conditions includes $20 million per year, a $10 million budget for assistants, full control over the roster, and the ability to choose his own general manager. And honestly, that's not unreasonable, especially for a coach like Harbaugh who knows exactly what he needs to win. If I'm walking into Cleveland, I already know what kind of personnel and structure I need in that building to be successful. One thing's for sure, though, there are going to be plenty of people lining up for that Ravens job. John Harbaugh being let go after 18 seasons in Baltimore, including a Super Bowl title, sent shockwaves across the league. Remember that AFC North Championship game on Monday Night Football? People were saying whichever coach lost that game might end up on the hot seat. Well, that's exactly what happened. The Ravens lost, and John Harbaugh is gone. From what I'm hearing, playoff shortcomings were part of the reasoning, but another major factor was Harbaugh wanting
on what he's heard about Harbaugh's prerequisites to even be interested in your job.
Okay.
$20 million a year.
Not a problem.
Not a problem. $10 million assistant coach budget.
Not a problem.
Okay. Total authority over the roster. And also would like to select his own guy to lean on, personnel guy.
Okay, so
there's this thing in the NFL called Black Monday, and that is where you see an abundance of coaches, coordinators get fired because the season's over for most of these teams, and decisions need to be made. None of them had the history that John Harbaugh had, and you're hearing a lot of people on both sides of the fence. One side saying it was time, he should have been fired a long time ago, John Harbaugh had to go, and there's some people that's saying, well, he's been there for 18 years. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. He's one of the best coaches in football.
to bring back his entire staff. The organization wasn't on board with that approach, so they chose to move on. I won't say I never thought it could happen, but I am shocked it happened this season. I figured if things fell apart again next year, then okay, maybe. But this year, that caught me off guard. Right now, NFL owners are in full-blown panic mode. Why? Because John Harbaugh just released a list of demands that's shaking the entire league, and it all ties back to one name, Shedeur Sanders. $20 million annually, complete roster authority, the right to handpick his GM, and a $10 million staff budget. And here's the wild part. These aren't normal contract requests. These are the demands of a coach who knows exactly how to win with a young franchise quarterback. Multiple sources are now directly linking Harbaugh's demands to the Cleveland Browns and the Shedeur Sanders situation. Shannon Sharp and Chad Johnson recently peeled back the curtain on what's happening behind the scenes. And once you hear why Harbaugh is asking for all of this, you'll realize this isn't about money at all. This is about a Hall of Fame level coach finally seeing the quarterback situation he's waited his entire career for. Based on what's being reported, Harbaugh's baseline requirements to even consider a job are pretty clear. $20 million a year? Not an issue. A $10 million assistant coaching budget? Fine. Total control of the roster and the power to choose his own personnel executive? That's the framework.
Repository that suggests that the head coach had to agree to a lot of things like submitting the game plan in advance and meeting with the analytics team, having the analytics team pour over everything. Just a lot of demands that make you wonder, are you really in charge? And that may be one of the reasons why Josh McDaniels ended up not being the guy.
Who would want to deal with it?
Why would
Kevin
you want
Stefanski?
I mean, yes, he's just so desperate. You know, this is they basically took a guy that was like, this guy will do anything to be a head coach. Oh, well, we'll.
There's something in the NFL known as Black Monday, the point when coaches and coordinators start getting fired as the season ends. But none of those firings involve someone with John Harbaugh's resume. Opinions are split. Some say it was overdue. Others argue he's a Super Bowl winning coach, one of the best in football, and that Baltimore's issues this year weren't on him. And honestly, I agree. 18 years with one franchise is incredible. He and Mike Tomlin were the longest tenured coaches in the league. Here's what you need to understand. When a Super Bowl winning coach releases a list this specific and this aggressive, it's not random, it's a message. He's telling every team, if you want me, this is the price, and if you can't meet it, don't call. Shannon Sharpe and Chad Johnson laid this all out on Nightcap, citing Tony Grossi, someone deeply connected to the Browns. When that kind of report drops, it's coming straight from inside the building. Let's go through these demands again to grasp how serious this is. First, $20 million per year. That puts Harbaugh in Andy Reid territory, the only coach currently earning that kind of money. And as Shannon pointed out, Reid has 6 Super Bowl appearances, 3 championships, and 6 straight AFC title games. Harbaugh's last Super Bowl win came back in 2013. But Harbaugh understands his value. In today's NFL, teams desperate for stability and leadership will pay for it, and the ones willing to pay that price are usually willing to give up control too. Next, the $10 million staff budget. Shannon explained this perfectly. Your offensive coordinator could cost $1 to $1.5 million. Defensive coordinator, similar, maybe more. Add in position coaches, analysts, quality control. Suddenly that number makes complete sense. Building a championship-level staff isn't cheap. There's also reporting suggesting that in Cleveland, coaches have had to
where the Cleveland Browns are not only desperate for a head coach that wants to turn the culture around in general, but it takes you back to the situation with Deshaun Watson, where they were desperate to have a quarterback who had done what he had done previously with the Houston Texans. Oh, you mean to tell me we get to get this in our building? Well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at them and hoping we get just that. Now, we know things didn't pan out. Things didn't work out the way, we thought they would have.
The Browns learn
game plans in advance and meet constant analytics requirements and essentially operate without real authority. And you start to understand why certain coaches wouldn't want that job. Total roster control fixes that.
not partial input.
Not collaboration. Final say over the 5-3 man roster. Harbaugh decides who stays and who goes. No interference. And finally, the biggest demand, choosing his own GM. Not working alongside the current one. Not advising ownership. Picking his guy. Most people hear this and think Harbaugh's gone too far. But Shannon and Chad saw it differently. And Chad made the comparison that makes everything click. He pointed out how desperate Cleveland was for Deshaun Watson. They gave up multiple first-round picks, handed out the largest guaranteed contract in NFL history, and rebuilt the entire organization around him. And it was a disaster. But that desperation revealed something important. Now, instead of betting everything on a quarterback, Cleveland has a chance to bet on a proven coach who understands what it takes to win. The Browns are desperate for cultural change, and Harbaugh represents that. But this time, they'll do it smarter. Full control. No interference. And that's where Shedeur Sanders enters the picture. People keep talking about the Giants or Dolphins, but Cleveland actually checks every box. Harbaugh needs a young quarterback he can mold from day one. Someone talented, coachable, hungry, and not ruined by years of bad systems. That's Shedeur Sanders. The $20 million salary shows Harbaugh is betting everything on this job. The staff budget means elite quarterback development. Total roster control ensures protection, weapons, and balance. And selecting his own GM guarantees alignment. Look at what Harbaugh did with Lamar Jackson. People doubted Lamar as a quarterback until Harbaugh built the entire system around his strengths. He won a Super Bowl.
I would absolutely love to see Coach Harbaugh coach Shedeur Sanders simply because of his resume, what he has done for Lamar Jackson. Many people thought Lamar Jackson wasn't a quarterback, believe it or not. And so he was able to align a roster or assign a roster to better equip Lamar Jackson's skill set. And I think he would do the same with Shedeur Sanders. You guys heard Browns insider Tony Grossi.
Bowl with Joe Flacco. He knows how to support quarterbacks. Shedeur is still moldable. He hasn't been destroyed by bad coaching. He's battle-tested, media-ready, and mentally tough. That's a dream scenario. The Giants may have assets, but they don't have Cleveland's desperation or humility after the Watson disaster. Jimmy Haslam learned the hard way that meddling doesn't work. 5 years ago, Harbaugh's demands would have been laughed out of Cleveland. Today, they make perfect sense. The irony is incredible. For years, people said Cleveland needed stability, power for coaches, and long-term vision. That's exactly what Harbaugh is asking for, now with a price tag attached. And Shedeur Sanders shouldn't be nervous about that. He should be excited, because if these demands are met, it means Cleveland is finally serious about development, serious about winning, serious about building the right way. The Ravens still owe Harbaugh $34 million. Cleveland would only need to add about $6 million to reach that $20 million mark. After paying Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed, that's nothing. Same with the staff budget. Same with control. Everything Harbaugh wants is exactly what Cleveland needs, and exactly what Shedeur Sanders needs to reach his ceiling. So let me ask you this. If you're Shedeur Sanders, would you rather play for a coach making $8 million with no power who's gone in 2 years, or a $20 million coach with full control who's betting his Hall of Fame legacy on you? If you want to stay locked in on every development in the John Harbaugh coaching saga and what it means for Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below. Are Harbaugh's demands justified, or is he asking for too much? Let's talk.